Hello, sports fans. Larry Allen here at the KJAS studio. Scott Surratt alongside as we're going to take a look at Pigskin preview for the Carthage Bulldogs. And we're in the regional semifinals this week against Midlothian Heritage. Last week against Huffman-Hargrave, 33-0 Dogs at the half. Over 500 yards of total offense. And we had a shutout of Huffman-Hargrave. That's the lowest point total they've had this entire year. Our defense doing a great job there. Scott, when you saw the films, what'd you see?
Oh, I thought great effort. Thought it was a great effort. Players played really, really hard. We executed for the most part. You know, you're never perfect, but we'll take that, a 47-0 over a quality opponent in the second round. And coaches did a great job. Players did a great job. You know, we had two big field goals. I think it's good confidence builders. So I think that it was a great performance.
Kelvonte Dixon, his stats were, staggering. 6 or 7 receptions for over 160 yards, something like that, and that's all in the first half. He really looked sharp the other night, didn't he?
He did. He'd been battling a turf toe, and we held him out against Kilgore, made him go one series just let him make sure he's really tough and play a little bit. But we played him one series against Kilgore, and then he played a little bit at Waxahachie Life. Had a couple touchdowns, I believe, the first half, and then the other night a big game. Now that turf toe's 100%, he's ready to roll.
All right, this week Midlothian Heritage, the Jaguars, and they are 11-1, ranked in the state in the top 10. Okay, what are they going to give to us?
They're very talented. First of all, you go with the quarterback. His granddad's Bob Ledbetter, which has won, I think, 4 state championships himself as a coach, and his dad moved over, got the superintendent's job at Heritage, and then he throws the ball very well. I think he's got 40-something touchdowns, and he's got 2 big receivers and a third good receiver. But he's got the two big receivers can really run, really play, and got multiple offers. And he got big offensive line. It's going to be a great challenge for our defense. And Coach Preston's he's very excited about the challenge and the defensive staff and the players and. But we know we're going to play very well on that side of the ball. And then defensively, they've got 2 big defensive tackles, 280. And they got a defensive end, 43, that's a very good player. And then 36 is the linebacker we feel like he's the best linebacker we faced all year. And we feel like their secondary is good. And so it's going to take a really, really good effort. They will do anything in the kicking game. They'll run specials, trick plays. They will do a lot of things. So we're expecting a lot of things or anything. And so it's going to be. I think it's a great matchup. And we know we got to play very good football. But we're very, very excited to be in the indoors, especially with the weather is looking like it's supposed to be. And so I think the best team will win, and one that turns it over the fewest, has the least penalties, and plays the cleanest game is going to win.
On Max Preps, you can watch just about every team, some highlights from all the games that they play. And one of the highlights for Midlothian Heritage, I saw an offensive play where they had 3 offensive linemen with the quarterback lined up behind them, and then everyone else was split out. I only saw that one time. Did they do things like that very much?
They'll do some things like that, yes, and they'll do some different formations, different plays. They'll do a lot of running, run a lot of screens. Excuse me, and they run the ball well too. And they're underrated. They throw it because it's a receiver and stuff. But I think they run it for 150 yards. A quarterback had a big run against Kilgore. You can see he could run on a read play, and I think it was 50-something yard run. So. They run option football, and they make you do everything defensively. And when you do that, then you've got to play very disciplined football and make plays.
I'd like to get your comments, Scott, on situations in the ball game where our broadcast crew up in the press box, we don't have an exact answer of what happened. So I got one for you from last Friday night. A timeout was called, and by your reaction on the field over on the sideline, it was sort of like, we didn't call a timeout. What happened on that one?
Well, it actually happened twice the other night. It happened both times we're on defense. I'm 15 yards from the official, and Coach Preston's 15 yards from the official. We're the only two who can call timeout in case I'm making, offensive adjustments or whatever, and we don't have enough people on the field. We're lined up wrong in a big situation. Then he can call timeout. But he was hollering tighten up, and the guy heard timeout. But as an official, you got to be sure. And if we're calling timeout, we're running towards you, and we're not. We're not just going to sit 15, 20 yards away and holler timeout. But he corrected both, gave them back. But it was crazy. We're hollering our corners, which is he hollers it ever since he's been here, since when 11, tighten up, and so this guy was here in timeout. So we was telling him what we just said. So he said, okay, I'm not going to call timeout unless y'all get over by me. So that's kind of, okay, that's kind of what we expect. Says, yes, sir, thank you. But that's what happened.
All right. Now, let's talk about how we wound up at the Star. And, we often use the term that you had a flip. Well, you really don't have a flip. Describe for us what happens there.
Well, they picked the Star as their home field, and we picked Tyler as ours, and Rose, because it was the one that was available for Friday night. And so it's about an hour for them, over there, at least with the traffic anyway, that they're going to go through. And then, Tyler's about an hour for us. And so it may be a little shorter for those guys to come to Rose, but, you're talking 20, 30 miles. It's not a difference in the game. But anyway, we decided that, and I picked the first one. You pick the school, I don't know, directory with all the teams in it, and then you go by zip codes. And I picked Garrison, and he did pick even. And so he won the flip because the last number in the zip code of Garrison is 6. And so we loaded up going to the Star. And then we agreed before we flipped that this is not a home deal, because we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to, if I win the Rose, then we got to go to the Star next year. And if you win Star, you got to come to us next year, because it's two different teams at that point. And so you still want to be on an even field next year, because I think that rule is kind of, I'm not crazy about the rule. But anyway, so we'll have to flip again next year, and we could end up, if we happen to play them again next year. But anyway, so we flipped again, and then he picked Goliad, and I picked Odd, and Goliad is Odd. So then we're actually the home team, but they won the flip. So we actually agreed to do 2 flips before we did it.
All right. Now, tell us what you know or don't know about next week. Of course, we know we'll get the winner of Van and Henderson. You know anything about the site for next week?
Well, I've talked to Van, and they say we'll play you anywhere, basically. And I says, if we win, you win. What are your thoughts? He said, Coach, we'll play you anywhere. Lobo, Pine Tree, Road, Tyler Rose, whatever. Henderson wanted to play in Tyler or Pine Tree, and I said, what about SFA and SFA or Lobo? And he said, no thanks. So we're still working those issues out. So
All right, very good. Give us your thoughts on Van and Henderson. That was a 1-point game the first time around.
No, I think it'll be a close game. I think it could go either way again, and so we'll see. I'm hoping we're talking to one of them. We're strictly Midlothian Heritage right now, and because we can't do anything about that game anyway, and hopefully we get to talk to one of them and set up some things, and that means we're in the 4th round in the regional final, and it'd be another great season. Okay,
final question. Give us your feel about the focus of the team right now.
No, we're focused. We have no excuses. Absolutely none. And we're focused. We're relatively healthy. We're excited. We know how good this football team is. And, I asked the players, honestly, and I pointed at about 12 or 14 of them, and I said, if you'd have played bad last week, you played bad, you played bad, you played bad, and on, you think we'd have still won? And every one of them said, yes, sir. because those teams we were definitely superior over. I said, now I'm going to ask you a question. Well, you saw film and the coaches saw film. You think we can play bad this week and win? No, sir. You're exactly right. So we know we got to play well. We're looking for this, forward to this contest, because that's what you want to do. You want to. Now it's time that if you don't play well, you go home. And it's about the time. And sometimes you get a good draw the first couple rounds, but about that third round, it's time. You know, all the bad teams are. I won't say bad teams, but it's cut the meat thin anyway. It is the good teams are alive, and so we're excited.
All right, those are the comments of head coach Scott Surratt. It'll be Ford Center at the Star on Friday night, 7:30 kickoff. We'll be on the air at 7 o'clock. Hope you can join us over there in Frisco. For Coach Surratt, I'm Larry Allen. Have a great weekend, everyone.